Hello Factorio people, welcome back to the broadcast from Space Age. Semi-streamlined playthrough, let's play of the Factorio DLC. We're still trying our best to mega base it. There's a lot that we're learning. There's a lot that I feel like we can't even really fix. That maybe a new run is the way to go. And if you know what's going on, you know I'm moving house and stuff, and I'm playing where I can, but I'm not getting a lot of time to play or record. Well, I am getting time to play, it's just I'm not really working towards a super end goal, I'm just sort of working on little things. So maybe time to start wrapping up this this playthrough, move house for real, get settled, and then start a new playthrough. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I can find more things to do and more things to work on. Right, if you want to do the old like, comment, subscribe for me. Just realised I've left the thing in the middle. I never do that, do I? If you want to do the old like, comment, subscribe for me, that would be great. And we'll jump straight into it, shall we? Okay, last time we upscaled Gleber to a modest amount, 8,400 science per minute, which is okay. I'm noticing a lot of the upscaling issues we're having at the moment are rocket silo related. Feeding rocket silos with logistics bots is fine in the early mid game. In the late game and in the extreme end game, it's not really viable. It doesn't really scale. And that is because the lead time between the platform arriving, getting the signal, what you really want, and we can do this, of course. It makes less sense with agricultural science, to be fair, but what we really want to do is got any legendary stack inserters, bulk inserters here. I'll just use this just as an example. We really should be doing all of it like this. And just having the silos be ready to ship. Obviously not with like this, with belts, really, with belts. We should be doing this with belts. And we should have incorporated the rocket silos into the requesting system. And this is one of the major things that I want to change in future playthroughs. In the early and mid game, it makes a lot of sense to just have one or two rocket silos that do all your requests. As soon as you start scaling up into science, specifically shipping lots of science around, you really need to include the rocket silos in your design and not just have like sort of an end. Like really, this should just go onto a belt that goes into a rocket silo directly. It's not, I mean, it doesn't look faster, of course, but it still goes by itself. But these two rocket silos will only ever launch when a space platform is surrounding the planet that is requesting 1,000 agricultural science, which of course will always happen. But in this exact scenario, but you can see here the benefit of this, right, is that this agricultural science that was just sat in this chest anyway is now just waiting in the silo, and it won't be until as soon as like one of the Gleber shuttles arrives, it can just launch 16,000 science. If we did it like this, it would just launch 16,000 science immediately, rather than having this lead time. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's really causing an issue with, like, throughput is the biggest problem we have. And I've relied too much on logistics robots, basically, but, you know, the issue we've got is that so much of the system is just reliant on that now. that... I could have sworn I did this. Did I not do this ages ago? That, really we just need to sort of make that a new base principle and redesign everything. And, you know, like, the sound of that to me right now does not sound that good. Based on how long I've been playing this save file, what I want to actually be doing, both in the game and my life. You know, I don't keep banging on about the whole moving house thing, but that is, you know, that is a thing. That is a thing that is happening. Of course, that begs the question where you're getting your, you know, like if the rocket silos were over here, where you're getting your rocket components from. Processing units, LDS, rocket fuel. Maybe we should have gone back to making them normally on each planet and having those be shipped around by like maybe a train network or something. Anyway. This is what I want to avoid. Like, look at these two are going like straight away, right? Whereas these always have this problem where they get to 950 but not 1,000, and then I really don't understand what's going on. I don't know whether I've just got like just the right / wrong amount of robots. You know, I can't actually deliver 16,000 from the chests without any robot needing to charge. But look, these two have launched again in the time it's taken any of these to be ready. These two have launched twice. Even on this stupid system, you know, even doing it like this is faster. Of course, that begs the question, what do you do with the spoilage? But you know, like if this was a belt, then we'd just burn the spoilage at the end. You know, like I really should have. That's probably an easy fix. To be fair, this one is probably an easier fix than any of the others. But as we move on, we'll see. Anyway, that's the post-mortem of Glebber, basically, in this system. I wanted to look at getting legendary holmium because one of the long-term things we wanted to look at was getting legendary cryogenic science packs, because they're fairly inexpensive with legendary holmium plates. The rest just sort of flows naturally from that. So let's go to Folgora and have a quick look and see what we can do there. So we're kind of doing legendary holmium plates, or at least we're doing legendary electromagnetic plants, which we can recycle into legendary holmium at the same time as here. Now this was like one of the first sciences that we upscaled, and it's only on 1,000 a minute, so this is causing some bottlenecks. Like we get a delivery of the electromagnetic science and then nothing else. You know, it's sort of, we've run out of the backlog now. At one point we had quite a large backlog of the science in the system, and now we've run through that. And again, yuck. This is really bugging me now with quite how terrible this idea was. So what we want to do is we want to turn this island into our dedicated electromagnetic science pack island. Get rid of all of this nonsense that we're doing, making extra processing units for the upcycling of electromagnetic plants, and then we'll use this island over here. This will just be dedicated legendary holmium, and this will be dedicated electromagnetic science. So we can get rid of all of the concrete, and we can see how much science we can get in a small amount. Well, the legendary supercapacitor upcycling has just been cracking on since I built it. Don't think I've used a single one yet. I really should be doing stuff like legendary personal batteries and... Ugh. Yeah, I can't do this yet because I don't have legendary quantum processors on Aquilo. So let's just have a quick look, a very quick look at getting this started. Okay, it's fairly simple, really, to just start with. All you need to make these are steel, which you get from scrap, processing units you get from scrap, holmium plates you have to make, and some refined concrete, which of course you need to make with the scrap as well, but that's okay. You just get some more steel, You get some irons from scrapping the gear wheels, you get the concrete from the scrap, and you melt some ice to get the water. So, I have a arithmetic combinator here for the stack inserter thing. You know, the stack inserter trick, only take things that are divisible by 16 to get them out. And then a group for the chests, so holmium plate farming excess, for example. So once we've decided, oh, we don't need any of the solid fuel that comes out of the scrap, we can just add that to this, and then that will permeate down through all of these chests, which is one way of doing it. The same way you could do it is just by using a constant combinator, but I thought I would at least try and make use of a logistics group for these, because I've never done that before. So the idea is that we just want to scrap everything that isn't relevant to making legendary holmium / electromagnetic plants. And we'll see how that goes. And then we can do the same on this side. We can scrap everything that isn't related to making electromagnetic science. So this is all you need beyond just a small extra factory making the refined concrete, but that's okay, we can plug that in. And then a lot of it's just playing around with throughput, just getting everything to work. Because this makes, you know, an obscene amount of iron gear wheels that you then unfortunately just have to trash again, and it still feels wrong and bad to do that, but it is what it is. So let's expand this ever so slightly. Okay, a lot of testing and stuff. It's still not 100%, but we'll get there, don't worry. The trains now go around in a loop, so I can add more than one train to the system. This works quite well in terms of loading and unloading speed. Just direct mining into the cargo wagon. Could probably put speed modules in these, to be fair. And then, yeah, we decided we're going to scrap literally everything. Which again feels wrong, because we somehow got to get the holmium plates out of here. These even these legendary accumulators are not lasting, but that's okay, we can just add some more. How many legendary accumulators is this? 792, and each one of these has a capacity of 6 times a regular accumulator. So yeah, maybe I should look at using I don't really see the point in legendary lightning collectors. Like, maybe I'm wrong. They've got more efficiency, but like, when have you ever not had them hit 100% charge overnight? Like, I guess they... I mean, I guess, maybe. That would cause every lightning strike. It would just cause this bar to go up higher every time, but like, they definitely will. They definitely will hit the peak. These will all become charged by the end of the evening, so... And then, yes, we just upcycle electromagnetic plants, keep the legendary holmium that comes out when we throw an epic electromagnetic plant into the recycler, which of course gets us some extra legendary processing units, legendary concrete, legendary steel, I guess. And so then the plan is to just sort of work out what an equilibrium with this is, and then turn the belts off here when that amount of legendary holmium is in the system. And then that will then give the robots time, like if we just force that like this, that will then give the robots time to get all the trashing done, so that then these don't, you know, have 95,000 solid fuel, 83,000 iron gear wheels in the system. This would eventually then permeate down to 0. And then hopefully we can hit a stable use of the legendary plates that doesn't ever cause this to jam. You know, so we continue to make the concrete and the sticks and the holmium plates so that we can keep this running. It's processing units at the moment, obviously, because it always is. But if we've got X amount of legendary holmium in the system, if we say like 8,000 or something, which might even be too much, then that's fine. Right, so that's basically how I want that to work. Lots of testing still required on that one. Throughput of these bloody scrap things is fine. I did have an absolutely cursed, horrible idea, which was... I can't believe I'm even going to say it out loud, it's horrible. Throwing the stuff into rocket silos and then launching it into space and then throwing it off the side of a space platform. Like, there must be a number somewhere where it's actually more efficient to do that than throw it in a scrap recycler. If you consider the time it takes to scrap, say, 1,000 advanced circuits into nothing, right? Because an advanced circuit will go into plastic, which will go into copper, which will go into electronic circuits, which will go into iron, which will go into copper, which will go into copper cables, which will go into copper plates. You know, there must be a number or an item at the very least, combined with its crafting time, right? But maybe not. Like, maybe not. Maybe that is absolutely stupid. Funny to think about, though, that building rockets and yeeting it into space might in fact be more efficient than this. For UPS it might be, you know? Like, we're getting to that point now where we have to think about maybe about UPS issues, because this is, you know, Fulgora is entirely logistics bot based, because that's what I decided I want to do on Fulgora. What is our entity update time, in fact? Is it this one? No? It's this one. Oh, we're still, like, we could triple this and still be fine, so maybe we don't need to worry about it. Okay, so then the next thing, we'll come back to this later, don't worry. The next thing we want to do is then turn off all of the things over here that are just being used. Created 10 million agricultural science at 227 hours. Get rid of everything here that doesn't make electromagnetic science, and repurpose this to the 10,000 electromagnetic science a minute island, which will of course need a lot more power than this as well, with all the beacons and modules and stuff. So let's have a quick look at that. Okay, I had to stop. We had an emergency. We had an emergency on Now V. So you remember ages ago we were very slowly upgrading all of the captive biter spawners to legendary. Well, that's finished. But it is it's too many eggs. Basically, it's too many eggs. We can't recycle the eggs fast enough now. Which is good. This is what we wanted. We wanted a huge amount of egg. The whole last episode was basically egg, you know? But we are finally finished. It took about 8 hours. But we have doubled our egg, almost doubled our egg production, you know? So as one legendary spawner hit the system, that just increased the production. And then now that we had a bit of a... What happened here? Nothing happened. We finished this now. They're all done. But we need a better recycling system, because look, like, the eggs are just spoiling on the belt, or spoiling however it flipping works. I don't know how it flipping works. It's inhumane, basically. So let's quickly go and fix this. We'll just remove all the recyclers and put it into one big recycling system instead. There we go. So this does work now. So one battery of this is 25 egg a second, which is, you know, just shy of half a belt. I could use stack inserters, of course, but then you run the risk, you know, they spoil in the hand, you know. So I've just not done that. Loads of recyclers. and then some more recyclers that just take anything that's not a legendary egg and do this. So, I mean, I don't know if this has given us a noticeable difference in egg. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, really, due to the randomness of it and the fact that we've not really had it live for any more than 10 hours. But anyway, it works. All right, this does work. God, I wish you could move these. Anyway, right, not legendary, just regular electromagnetic science in 10,000 per minute quantities. I've not done as much logistics bots as I could have done for this, because we're talking about items in such high numbers that it doesn't make any sense. This needs, you know, 60 accumulators a second, 60 supercapacitors a second. It may as well just put this on belts. So it's fine. It works for the most part. The holmium, this I realised that this actually needs holmium somewhere else for this system, so that's fine. Yeah, for the superconductors which go into the supercapacitors. Again, this could probably just go on the other side of a belt, but we'll tweak this. This was just my starter, just to see exactly what was going on. You can see that accumulators are a problem because we don't get enough batteries. We don't get enough batteries out of the scrap. We get basically enough of everything else, except possibly, ironically, stone to make enough electrolyte. But that's okay, that's easily fixed. It's the batteries that are going to cause the issue. The stone is like just about close enough. Once we get this up and running, we can do a few levels of scrap recycling productivity, and that should put it into... So this needs 76 stone a second to make the 2000 electrolyte that we need to make both the supercapacitors and the actual electromagnetic science packs themselves, but this amount of scrap processing is only 65 stone per second. It's 65 batteries per second as well, which is obviously nowhere near enough, but we can fix that. We can just make batteries here. Shouldn't be a problem. So the ratios work out. Who'd have known, right? Who'd have known that we would have actually worked out the ratios for this pretty decently. Crazy, crazy to think about, I know. But yeah, batteries are a problem, but that's easily fixed. That is easily fixed. Watch. See? You do need quite a lot, cryogenic plants, making batteries for this, but you don't need that much sulfuric acid, and making the sulfuric acid is fairly trivial given the amount of ice you get to get the water, and then the infinite heavy oil you can use. This is not a problem at all. So then this goes onto a belt, which is the gaps are then filled by... What on earth? Oh yeah, that's right, I tidied this up slightly. Yeah, the batteries and the holmium now go on one belt. That means that this does not need this. So the only thing that gets delivered to these via logistics bots are the circuits and the superconductors. They go output straight onto a belt. This all worked out quite nicely. Use a splitter thing here to block the iron off. If the iron's on the top half of the belt, then it doesn't go into this underground, and then this underground spits out the supercapacitors. So this is how we change the iron input into these, the accumulator output, and then, yeah. So we're just doing some extra levels of scrap productivity because, as I say, holmium plates are currently the bottleneck because holmium solution is an issue. We can fix that quite easily. I do this a bit later. I've got it done now. As this unloads electromagnetic science packs, it loads holmium ore, like the obscene amount of holmium ore that we've been stashing ever since we landed on Fulgora because we knew we would need it. And I'll just bring that back and put that into the system. So that should maybe work, I don't know. It needs some long-term testing. It's still more efficient to get rid of excess iron into chests. You know, there's still so much iron in the system because there's so many gear wheels in the system. Sorry about the YouTube compression on this one, obviously. A few little things here and there, you know, that need sorting out. This is why the stone is the issue, because you also need the stone here, right? You need 11 stone per second here on top of the 76 stone per second here. I neglected to mention that before. But it's fairly modest, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. For the 10,000 science per minute, it's not a lot of footprint. Supercapacitors are running out because holmium plate is running out because holmium fluid is running out. But that's okay. As I say, like, this train will bring back some holmium ore. You don't need that much holmium ore to make the solution. You just this stockpile will of course eventually run out, but that's, you know, like 200 hours down the line. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it. It won't happen. 79,000 science per minute. That's not bad, is it? That's not bad. So that's the Glebber stuff finally come. Well, actually, the Glebber stuff is irrelevant. This is just because we're now that we've actually upscaled electromagnetic science to 10,000 a minute when it works, at least. That is now working, so that's pretty okay. That's pretty okay. How's the legendary holmium farm thing? Is that doing what I want it to yet? Yeah, so like, it's off at the moment because I've set this to be 4,000 legendary holmium, so it's just working its way through the backlog of flipping 100,000 gear wheels and then turning that iron into chests, which then get sharded. I don't know why we've started saying sharded for this, but I don't know where that comes from. And the stone and the ice we need, but obviously we're going to need to figure out some values for that, which we will eventually need to get rid of. I did this, I'm sure I did this somewhere and forgot to mention it. Oh yeah, here it is. Did I talk about this? When I upscaled metallurgic science to 10,000 a minute. Which episode was that? Oh my god. Sorry, you've seen a bit behind the scenes here. When on earth did I do that? Did I just do that and never talk about it? Oh, it was the start of this episode and I just neglected to talk about it. Upscaled metal science. Oh, why did I skip? I skipped from this to this for some reason. Okay, let's talk about that, I guess. Yes, I upscaled metallurgic science to 10,000 science per minute as well. It was very easy, of course it is, because it only really needs the tungsten and the copper fluid and stuff like that. It's very easy. The only real thing of note here is that the amount of stone this outputs is quite vast, but it's still not enough to completely saturate a landfill machine. So if we one, do the mandatory editor check at this point, go to Vulcanus. Oh my god, what? Get rid of this. Control Z that to put them back, and then turn editor mode back off again. That will kick the whole thing into life. we put the landfill on the belt to go into the bin instead. I mean, I could put this into a recycler, I suppose, but doesn't seem fitting, does it? Doesn't seem fitting. May as well use the lava. I probably could put it in a recycler, but yeah, this is we're getting here because we can finally use the legendary stack inserters that we've been farming on Gleba from the last episode. It's output full, but it's not the stone. I'm pretty sure it's not the stone. I think it's the lava, although maybe it is the stone. Maybe it does need this. It probably does need that. Are they on their way? Are there some of those in the system? Here they come. Yes. Okay, no, it was the stone. It was the stone. Anyway, so because landfill is so expensive now, 50 stone, we can turn 50 stone into one landfill, and that is obviously much more efficient in terms of throwing it into the lava. I don't know why I didn't think of that before, especially before I built this monstrosity. But equally, at the same time, this is also where I make bricks. So yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that I'd done that, clearly. It's not really that difficult to see. I put orange lights in just because I was feeling a bit bored. So this makes 10,000 metallurgic science a minute as well. There really is nothing crazy about this. I moved the legendary upcycling here. I have yet to sort a way of bringing it back into the system. But there is a lot of backlog of legendary, well, there was at least 2,400 of those. What does legendary tungsten plate go into? Absolutely nothing. Nothing that we need in them all. Yeah, that's why. That's why I've not worried about that yet. Yeah, okay. Quick, research something else. No, it's not working. Okay, right. So yeah, so now we can see this is turned off. We've got the... Really? Really? We've got the requisite amount of holmium plate in the system that we wanted. All the recycling's done, so this just sits here idle. And then we'll work out what we're going to do with that legendary holmium plate. And then... this is still ticking over. I should put a... do I have a circuit condition on... no, I need to put a circuit condition on the belt to say stop when X amount of science is done or whatever, just so that we're not scrapping and recycling forever, because this is still on the old system of scrap anything that's more than 10,000 in the system unless it's these items. But you know, we could probably need to add batteries to that list, you know. But it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. It works well enough. It works well enough. I think I make a few more tweaks actually. Let me fast forward slightly. I think I do make a few more quality of life tweaks to this. Mostly the issue is just scrapping stuff. It's so painfully slow. You can get so much more stuff than you can scrap. And it's very annoying. Now that I've experimented with it, this system of, oh, I'll just scrap everything I don't need and just do specific islands for one thing and scrap everything else. I'm not sure that's really the way to go. It almost sounds like it's gonna, in future playthroughs, it's gonna make more sense to have a centralized scrap sorting, or various decentralized scrap sortings, and then shipping the stuff that you want around by train. Then you can scrap the excess, right? Once you've got a train full of processing units, a train full of low density structures, a train full of concrete, etc., you can then start scrapping everything else. So you will still need a big scrap thing, but like, the reason, you know, I tore this down and stopped this from doing the legendary holmium, but the reason the legendary holmium was here was kind of the Venn diagram of items that are needed for legendary holmium upcycling is not the same as anything you need for electromagnetic science. So on this island we're scrapping everything that is not, that we could probably be using to make legendary holmium plates, and on this island we're scrapping everything that we could be using to make electromagnetic science. You know? So I'm thinking, maybe, like, look at the size of this island, man. I'm thinking, like, maybe a future playthrough, a future way of designing this might be to have a centralized scrap processing facility on an island that, yeah, sorts it all out. You could even integrate quality into that somehow, you know, just put quality modules in all the recyclers. And then what I really, really wish you could do, and I don't think it's possible at all, is have a train send a signal, or have the station be able to read you can read train contents, read stopped train, train ID. That doesn't seem like the thing that you want. Like 72, where is that coming from? Is that just the number of the train that I built? That sounds like a recipe for disaster. So that basically you could have one station with requester chests, so that the train stops here. This goes, oh, this is the steel train. Give me 20,000 steel, please. Logistics bots bring the steel in. The train goes, clears the chests out. Rather than having, you know, one station that's just steel, one station that's LDS, one station that's processing units. Something like that. Which, yeah, it looks like you could do that, providing you always use the same train ID. So this is train 72, is it? Like, sorry, I'm doing this live. Go back home. But how do I know what train this is without? And what happens? This is train 58. So does it just give it a unique number every time it stops? Or is this actually train... What did I say? 72. It is train 72. So, yeah, I mean, you could do that, but that sounds like it would break really, really easily. It would be really nice if you could name the trains and then read the train name, or even just give the train one signal, you know? Just have the train be able to output a constant, and then have the station read that train, you know? Maybe that's very complicated to do in the back end, and that's why they've not done it. Read train contents? I mean, maybe you could... you could... sorry, I'm doing this live, I realise, but you could, like... have a constant in the train, right? You could say this is the steel train, and just always have one steel in the train. Just have... But then you'd have to set up all your inserters to only work, like only pick from the train. You know, somehow leave that one bit of steel in the train. Or... you could put a quality steel in the train. You could put a piece of quality steel in the train, right? And then just have your inserters filter to common. And then that would always leave that one piece of quality steel in the train. And then that could be your... that could be your signal that you output, you know, read train contents. And then you would need a combinator that reads the contents of the train. Maybe. There's something there. Alright, let's stop wasting time. But there's something there. That might be how I want to do Fulgora in a future playthrough. That would be quite interesting. Some system like that. Rather than scrapping so much stuff which takes so long and is very... I'm imagining this is extremely UPS intensive as well. Okay, right. We had a problem with plastic, legendary plastic, on Vulcanus because we were using a lot of red circuits in the science. So we needed more legendary plastic. We need legendary coal to make legendary plastic. There's two ways I wanted to try and achieve this. Oh yeah, look, there it is. Man, this must have... I must have played a lot and just forgot, or very slowly over the course of like 2 weeks. I can't remember. I'm so confused. Time is very, very strange to me at the moment. So I thought I would try grenade upcycling, just because... Where have I put it? Just because, you know, you only need iron and coal to make grenades, so I thought grenade upcycling might be good. They're very slow, is the problem, making grenades. You obviously can't speed them up in any meaningful way, because you lose quality when you use speed modules, so even in a legendary Mark III assembler, this is only making us 15 grenades a second, and that is using more than half a belt of coal, more than half a stacked belt of coal, so that's why it's like this as well. And then any quality stuff we get from that moves on. And yeah, this doesn't make that much legendary coal, it turns out. Turns out it's pretty rubbish. It's clearly much better to just duplicate this, because this at least makes, you know, legendary carbon. This has been running for a long time. 110 a minute, which, yeah, admittedly also only turns into... five carbon turns into 1 coal. With productivity modules, you know, that's still not brilliant. But it's something. It's something. Oh, we got legendary bulk inserters, stack inserters as well now. We can actually do the thing that we were... I did experiment with getting the plastic out of this system, because obviously you can recycle low density structures to get a decent amount of plastic, as you can see. But it's a closed loop. It takes, on average, it will use the same amount of plastic as it gives you. We then use some legendary plastic to actually get the low density structures that we want to keep as well, which we don't use that many of. This is another thing. I should have separated... Oh, physical projectile damage 18. I should have separated my quality build from everything else. The more and more I think about it, the less sense it makes to even do legendary science packs at all. The sheer volume of common items you can get from base processors in Space Age, just the sheer amount of iron plate and copper plate you can get from a foundry with a bit of calcite that comes, you know, the calcite is free out of the ground with mining productivity, and the lava is free forever. you'd be better off just scaling up rather than using legendary quality items, and you should just have a legendary quality farm like this. Like this is very good for building us quality items that we want, and the only reason it's broken is because I have decided that I also need it to plug in 30 legendary advanced circuits into the system every freaking second, and that's what's killed it. If I didn't do this and just had a backlog of legendary circuits in the system with which to build all of these things and send off to other planets to build legendary items on those planets, this would never have been a problem. And then I could have made an awful lot of normal purple science, productivity science, production science, that's the one, and not had to worry about scaling any of this. It's a mess. It's a horrible, horrible mess, basically. And that's the thing with Factorio, is it sometimes takes, or just projects in general, sometimes it's just going to take 200 hours for you to work out that this is not the right way to do it. And you take that lesson and you move on. There's a bit of legendary coal, oh yes! So that is definitely one of the design principles I want to take forward for my next playthrough in this. A quality farm, completely separate. Quality science, maybe, probably, maybe not worth it, probably not worth it. I don't know. Probably not worth it. Just as long as you can make quality items of the production, you can probably, he says, get away with just making 10 times this. Because it's very small, right? Look at how little we needed for common foundries. If we had to do all this in legendary just to get... What would you rather do? Try and get all of this in legendary, all the ingredients in legendary, you know, legendary calcite, legendary tungsten, legendary carbon, or would you just copy and paste this 6 times? Or would you just build this 6 times bigger? You know, like, it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. So we've experimented with that, it doesn't work. Okay. Why am I on? Oh yeah, legendary coal. Yeah, so this also didn't really work. Upcycling for this did not really work. You can get much more by just doubling up this. So we can double up this. I don't know why this is the one asteroid type that is never clogged. Like, this is still on the old design compared to this. These work very well, of course. Maybe legendary red and green science is okay, because you can get an awful lot of legendary iron ore and copper ore from space, and those are the only ingredients in both red and green science, so maybe that one's okay. Ironically. Did my phone just go off? Yeah. So cool. And there's one more big thing I wanted to work on. I wanted to improve the throughput of the biolabs. I wanted to add more biolabs. Let me just load the save and I'll talk about it a bit more properly. Yeah, so I added the second asteroid farming ship. I've added a lot more legendary carbon to the system. That has thankfully balanced things out a little bit, mostly also because purple science is now backed up. There was a bug with the rate calculator mod that was giving wrong results for biolabs, so I double checked that, or the patch note said it was wrong anyway. So I double checked that and also took this opportunity to redesign because it was a mess. I added this took me flipping, this was exactly as much of a nightmare as I knew it would be. changing all the stations to deliver the colours in a nice aesthetic order, which I agree looks amazing, don't get me wrong, but changing the stations and having a train suddenly deliver blue here when it was delivering God knows what, and clearing all the belts, and oh my god, it took me flipping ages. But I was able to tidy this up. I was able to repurpose the undergrounds, you know, so half the bottles go this side, half the bottles go this side, but then this, you know, doesn't need exactly this, but up flipped the other way. I took this opportunity to just put heating towers in everywhere rather than have the spoilage go through to the ends and have an inserter on a separate belt network taking the spoilage out. I just thought we'd do it like this. Why am I doing, you know, like these are so cheap, why not just put these down? So yes, so now this, when it's on research productivity, is taking in 4,800 science per minute, which means it can do the full 10,000 when it's not on research productivity, because of course research productivity takes 120 seconds rather than 60 seconds, so it halves your science per minute. So when this one finishes in a second and we do mining productivity, providing the throughput is fine, which of course is questionable. Is it questionable? It's half a belt, right? Yeah, it's 1.3 of a green belt, which when you're... A stacked green belt is the equivalent of 4 green belts, so as long as you're using half a belt and this doesn't go over 2, it's fine. I'm all meant the throughput of the legendary science. So, come on, 2, 1, okay. So this is a much more impressive number, and that's cool. The one big thing that we still need to fix on Navis is this godforsaken thing here. It's funny that I changed this all to have all the right colours and the colours in order and have the trains deliver them, and then now the next thing I want to do is just put the cargo bay here and have it output onto belts. You know, we're still going to bring in the Navisian sciences via train, but this needs changing because we're losing so much Gleben science efficiency by having it have to come from this cargo bay into a train via logistics pots. A train is refueling, then have the train come all the way across, unload, go into the labs. You know, like, we're losing 5-10 minutes on each science pack, which is not nothing. Oh, we hit 121,000 for a bit, but now it's not working because... Yeah, so now that we're on... Yeah, now that we're on not research productivity, this is using more than half a belt of each science pack, so we're not getting everything, we're actually using the 10,000. This peaked because the belts were saturated, right? And then now that the biolabs at the very end of the system are not full, we're hitting the true number, which if I open editor mode and speed things up, we should hopefully see this will plateau at, well, we're making 10,000 of each one, and we're on 520% productivity plus 50% science pack drain. So yeah, it's about... It should be 100,000-ish, roughly. Should be. Don't know why it's not. But it's still pretty good, right? That's still pretty impressive. Maybe. Maybe it's not, I don't know. Right, so, yeah, as I say, like, there's so much I want to change, to the point where it's just going to be an entire refactor, and I've been on this save for 250 hours odd now, and it's good, don't get me wrong, I've really enjoyed it, but I feel like it's sort of a natural conclusion to the base. We've got all the sciences at the numbers that we were aiming for, 10,000. Except for Aquilo. We can do Aquilo, I suppose. But yeah, I have not played any more than this. This is literally the last save file I made. I mean, that's not strictly true. This was the last save file I made. I called it episode 35. I don't know if there'll be an episode 35, just given everything that's going on and what that would require. I really, really just want to start a new save file now. I really want to try this everything on NowVis mod. Just have everything on NowVis and probably get rid of quality, or maybe try a mod that changes how quality works and not rely so much on upcycling, maybe. Let me know in the comments if you've got any cool ideas, something that might be good to try. I just feel like this is a very good natural point for this to end. Given what we've achieved, what we want, what we know works, what we know doesn't work, what we want to change, and the fact that I have to put everything I own into a van and move it 2 hours down the road, and paint an entire house, and pay for all of that, and stuff like that, you know, like, it's probably time to just draw a line under this one. And we'll come back to another broadcast series in a few weeks. So yeah, I know I didn't make a big thing about this being the last one, and I probably won't make a big thing about it. Probably won't call the episode like, oh, finale or something, you know, something grandiose like that. But please let me know. Like, there might be an episode 35. You never know. I might just suddenly decide, oh, I really want to try looking at this. I might just come back to it for some this save file for testing purposes, because it's basically editor mode at this point, right? Like, I've got everything I would want. I did want to try maybe doing plastic upcycling on a coal patch with coal liquefaction, right? So if you do coal liquefaction, you can use coal and... how would this work? You would use coal and heavy oil and some steam to make petroleum, and then you would also use the coal to make the plastic, and then you could do that probably very, very quickly to the point that you could throw because we're on also our plastic productivity bonus at the moment, 180%. Maybe that would be good. Yeah, maybe plastic upcycling could also work, I don't know. Because plastic recycles into itself because it's a chemical process, so that's something I wanted to try, and I might just experiment with it, and maybe I'll just do an episode that's just that. What's the best way to get legendary plastic? Who knows? It's probably legendary carbon from a ship. You know? Probably. Okay, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment, and if you want to see more Factorio, be sure to subscribe. Yeah, I'm going to start live streaming again once the move's over, and that's probably how the next playthrough is going to go. It will be streams of the playthrough. I'll try and only play on stream. I'll probably have a stream schedule. You know, make a bit more of an effort with this YouTube channel, and then do structured videos like this for people who can't / don't want to watch the live streams, which I think I talked about last time. I don't know. As I say, time has sort of... a train is refueling. Time has sort of gone out the window, really. I don't know what's going on. Where am I? Who am I? What's happening? Not sure. Alright, thank you so much. Take it easy. Speak to you next time. Bye-bye.